Welcome, heirs of our Father's promise. Welcome to another video. And we're here to learn a lot. And what is it that we're learning a lot about? Truth, not these fallacies. Of course, I'm going to give you guys hidden gems, here and there, just so that you can learn about the truth and it's not hindered to you. Now, the reason for that is because why? When we learn truth, what do you think happens? You're set free. But when you know the truth and you still feel hindered, you don't know the truth. Because there's a root to everything, good and bad. All right? So we're going to start, and here we're going to be in Mark. Well, let's just say the Chronicle of Saints Mark, chapter 4. Right? So if you want to grab your buy and bow, you can. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. But we're going to always speed through this a little bit because, yes, it's always important that we are edifying ourselves. And of course, I don't waste no time here too much, even though I know I like to talk a bit from times to times, just to give you guys a bit of my personality, right? It's not something that I'm a very genuine person. I'm not a fake person. I don't act fake. Don't like fake things. So when you come around me and you fake, ooh, terrible choice. It's like playing Mortal Kombat, right? Or X. And you pick the wrong character against another character. What you think gonna happen? Either you pick the right character and it's a draw, or you pick the wrong character and it's a win or a lose. You know what I mean? Now, for some people, they might understand what I just said. For those that don't understand, you're gonna eventually understand it one day. Um, but let's get started. Actually, so like I told you before, we're gonna be talking about contradiction through the normality of this modern society in this exact very era. And we're also going to talk about inspiration because why not be inspired of the words of truth, right? Why not be inspired by the words of truth, right? So now you could say that chapter 4 talks about what? Be real or fake it will show you, like it will show in you, right? And just walk in the right path so that you can grow properly in love. Not only that you grow properly in love, you have peace and wisdom, like, and all of these things. These things come with not being a seed that has grown, because you can be a seed, or the things that you do can be of a seed because it can be seasonal as well. So you are a seed, not just the things that you do or that you have. And what you have, meaning the knowledge, the spirit, and the heart that you have, can grow in the wrong places because, like it was told to us, wherever that your mind and your heart is, your desire is exactly where your mind is, your heart is. Okay, so let's get started with English. Help me, please. Contradictions. All right. And what about is wrong? What is it about contradictions? Is when there's a truth and then people are contradicting it with their opinions and ideals. So they pick and choose. So let's just go to let's say verse 4, right? We're gonna read verse 4 down all the way to 7. Okay, I'll start it off for you. It came to pass, he sold many teachings through his examples, which then also fowls came by and devoured the many food from the lost seeds. Now, some seeds fell by the stone fields, and it sprung up, leaving no room for further growth. due to its environments. Verse 5. And the subject about that one is called naive. Okay? So as they lay there, the sunlight scorched them to death, since they were rooted in their best. Well, my apologies. They weren't rooted in their best conditions, so they withered. So when you have faith and your faith is not rooted, anybody can say anything to you. You wouldn't even know where to begin. You wouldn't even know where to end. Somebody that's an atheist can probably teach you about the truth, right? Someone called the truth, right? They can teach you about the truth, and you're going to believe them because your faith is not rooted. Now we have this two different types of people now. And the next verse, I consider that as a subject to be called sabotage, the toxin, the poisons. And the reason I call them that is because it says what? Some grew in thorny terrains, but when they grew, their fruits had no beauty, for their source were depleted, and they became sterile. These are called the poisonous ones because they are very corruptible. So, unlike the first ones where they're naive, right? These ones, they know and they've been infected. And because of their infection, instead of them, right, applying themselves to a scenario where they could tell you the truth, they'll tell you the truth, but their truth is rotten, meaning their intention is rotten. They will tell you the truth, but their intention is rotten. It's like having a fruit, right? You can have an apple. An apple, just because you have an apple, doesn't mean that the apple is a good apple. Because the seeds can be still good, but the fruit itself in general is not. And what happens to something that's organic and natural and it's alive and that's not decomposing? It's good for you. It's healthy, right? The word is healthy. And when it rots, it becomes what? Toxic. Or let me give you another example. When we have a scenario where we have seeds, right, that grow, and the tree, or you could say their labor of fruits, right, it's not fructuous. It's the only possible way for me to say that word. I was going to be out here just but their fruits are not fructuous, right? What happens when it's in the wrong area, when it's growing next to weeds? Sometimes those other plants can absorb, right, the nutrients from the growth of that specific seed. So not only is the seed growing, but it's growing wrong. It's growing in the wrong direction, and the branches are aiming in the wrong places. Does that make sense? So things around you can absorb what you're basically growing. You can be a beautiful pear, a beautiful apple tree, a pear tree, a mango tree, but because of the weeds that are surrounding you. What happened to weeds and vines? They come and they wrap themselves around you. They restrict you. They cover you. Right? That's what they do. That's what they do. They cover you. And because they do that, they also absorb the type of nutrients, energy that you receive from the sun, from the earth, from the air, in all aspects. They're not going to be like, oh, no, we don't want you to grow. No, they want you to grow just enough for you to feed their what? Their growth. It doesn't matter if they tie your neck and they hang you. It doesn't matter if they squeeze all of the circulation off your arm, off a trunk, off a branch, off a leaf, as long as they're connected to you. Let's read verse 7. And this is actually an inspiration because it talks about the third seed, right? Now, it's the subject for this one is called transparent. And it says, the other fell on good grounds and they wield fruits. Willed, as in Willed. And they willed fruits, right? It's funny how there's three, not two, not four, three, right? My apologies. Forgive me for that. This seed successfully fed many now and those to come. So whoever that has ears, listen very well. After separating for many others, the disciples secluded a conversation with him and asked him what he meant of the parable, right? Of what he meant by the parable. My apologies. Give me one moment, real quick. What in the world? This is because, yeah. So what he meant by the parable? What was he saying? What he was saying was, what Christ was saying was what? A lot of the people, right, when they have true faith or they have some type of basis of or foundation of faith, right, that they're relevating their faith to. Some people, their faith is materialistic, and some people, their faith are genuine. So in verses, I believe in verse 10, or if not verse 10, then verse 9 or something, right? Because I have it written down, but not actually the verse number. But in verse, I believe 10, right? It speaks of how when people, just like Peter, when Christ was like, oh, people are going to come to arrest me so they can crucify me. Peter was like, yeah, I'm going to stand by you. I understand what you're talking about. But then Christ told him like, hey, look, when I'm going to be on that cross hanging, bleeding to death, you're going to deny my name 3 times. You're going to deny my name 3 times, thrice, thrice. And why is that relevant? It's relevant in today's day, right? Because a lot of the things that we deal with in life, right? A lot of the things that we deal with in life in today's time, right, have to do with how people loyalty is. And it's very important. Loyalty is a very important thing. It's very important because when we're in school, right, when our teachers, let's say, does something, and or let's just say that the students are doing something, right, and they're probably being loud. One of them might have thrown a paper ball at the teacher or something like that, right? Oh, I gotta forgive me for that. Oh wow, I don't feel it no more. I think it's gone. But the teacher is sitting, and the student throws a paper ball at the teacher. Now, nobody is confessing to the crime, right? What do you think is going to happen to the student that threw it? He's going to be blamed just like everybody else that was in the area that the paper ball was projected from. So they're all going to get in trouble because they all know who did it. They just don't want to say it. So if one person is going to get in trouble, they're all going to get in trouble. You know what the students do? They all shut their mouth and they all allow themselves to get in trouble, which kind of sounds retardical. Because why attack somebody that has done nothing wrong to you? Hmm? You know what I mean? But let's read this actual text. It says what? And the subject for this is don't lose your composure. Be genuine for yourself to be truth. For there to be truth. Be genuine to yourself for there to be truth. And what does it say? Know that the sower plants the truth, and those near him, their seeds are to bloom. But when Satan's come by, they immediately forget and they flee in fear. So everybody, because they're scared, right? Somebody might end up snitching. Everybody was tough until the pressure got a little intense. Oh, I'm gonna call your moms. I'm gonna call your dad. Oh, you're gonna get suspended. Somebody ends up telling. Okay, let's continue. These seeds right here are they that were lukewarm, or they that rooted themselves in the stone fields, acting as if they understood, but were walking among the flesh. See, it's one thing where if you were like the second option, right? Not the naive, right? Not the ones that are naive, the sabotage. If you were like the ones that were like the sabotage, right? Because they know the truth. They already know they're going to be punished. If you were the ones that are, I said, not the naive, yeah, not the sabotage, but if you were like the naive, right? At least you acted like you knew, but sometimes it could be also the misunderstanding of the knowledge that's being fed to you as well, right? But the whole time you walking in the flesh, you're walking in the flesh. You're listening to this pastor, this preacher, this prophet, this, and that. And they're all listening to the spirit of religion, telling you prophecies of things that did not come from your creator. Some of, I want you guys to understand that a lot of times when you go to these fortune tellers and all of these things, understand that there are spirits, right? Malicious spirits that can create scenarios. Understand that spirits is called influence. So they can create scenarios. I've already given you guys terminologies and definitions in the past videos. So if you would like to go and check that, go and check that out. But there are terminologies to these things. Spirits mean influence. So these fortune tellers, readers, right, whatever you want to call them, right? Their influence is very, 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 very guarded by by entities that can create scenarios. And because these entities are malicious, they need an input to an output. So if you came in with an input, right, and you expect them to give you an output, they're gonna give you an output, but it's gonna be something toxic. So it's like saying you got a cake, okay, but people are celebrating you. It's your birthday, right? I don't celebrate birthdays, by the way, but it's your birthday, right? And it being your birthday, it's a cake. You're like, oh, it's a cake, nothing wrong. Beautiful, nice looking, whatever cake it is, vanilla, chocolate, whatever that you like, right? And because you asked for a cake, you got a cake, and they're malicious. You don't know if they poisoned the cake. That's how those entities work. They will give you a cake, right? Just easy as cake, right? They would give you a cake. It will look all nice. It will look like they will dress in their best suits, all of that. But then the cake is poisoned. And you wouldn't even know until you bite it. You wouldn't even know until you bite it. The moment that you first off went in there, right, to be like, oh, I want a reading. I want somebody to tell me about my future, who I am, what would this and that and the third, right? All of this astral projecting, astral readings, and all of these things, right? The moment those things started happening, right? The moment those things started happening, you walked in the door. See, I listen to a lot of things on TikTok. I scroll, I come across people, and I just look at it as entertainment. I'm so serious. Sometimes I'm like, hey, they be saying some things that are a little similar, but then psychology as well is implanted into the ideal of doctrines. So understand that psychology is a part of being able to what understand how the brain works, knowing what words trigger other people and get them to think a certain way, to get them to feel a certain way, to just finesse. That includes color, smell, texture, and all kinds, right? So that being the case, right? The moment you even allow that, like when I say that I watch, I'll be scrolling and I'll literally just sit there and watch. I'm like, hey, that seemed a little too familiar. I'm like, hey, let me chill out a little bit on this because I don't want to invite something that is not a part of me. Because they can shape all, mind you, right? Understand that a lot of people don't know what consecrating means. People think that when you consecrate, you always got to open your mouth to pray. No, you can think about it. You can close your eyes and just think and imagine. You don't even have to stay up for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. No, 5 minutes is enough because it's personal, it's sacred to you and your creator and to nobody else. The same way they tell you that these devils and demons can hinder your prayers, understand that it doesn't come as if like your prayer is like a bubble, right, that floats up in the sky like if it was in water, and they just come and just say, hey, mines, no, it's not that. It's the image, it's the intrusion of you being able to psychologically even think about what you want, because the main focus for them is to what, distract you, even mentally, spiritually. So if they can distract you, the image of focus is very pivotal to them, because if you can focus, they can't do nothing to you. They just can't. They can't do nothing to you. And if they try, all you got to tell them is, I don't have no business with you. What power do you have over me? If you try to manipulate somebody to try to come against me, I'm just going to tell you to leave that person's body. I don't care how mad they get. That does not concern me. I know what I'm fighting against. I'm not fighting against a person. I'm fighting against a spirit. There's a difference. A lot of people fight for no reason, and a lot of people fight, but they don't even know the reason why they're fighting. They don't. They don't know exactly the reason why they're fighting. But let's continue though, because we were talking about the flesh, so I had to bring you out to that perspective of the flesh. Okay, as your belief and what you're basically looking and living throughout your daily life, because yeah, there are a lot of people that are telling false stories and narratives out here. But let's continue. For they are not rooted deeply in the truth of our Elohim, because when persecution comes, they immediately turn they immediately turn back to their old ways. So if a lot of you were masturbating, right, that were doing all of these things, and that we're doing all of these things for some apparent reason, right? Understand that that's the devils, the Satans, right? The Lucifers, these entities, these obnoxious entities that are pulling you back because your faith is not strong enough. I used to smoke. I used to be out here doing a lot of crazy stuff. I don't do that because I don't have the need to do it. Not to be fake. I don't care what party I go to. I don't care. That includes drinking. I don't care what party I go to. I don't care what I accomplished in life. I don't care what it is. If I were to ever drink or smoke or anything, it would be in the comfort of my own abode with a wife. Because the least that what I'm probably going to do is go to sleep. And I'm not even going to do any of those things because it doesn't relevate to my existence. Smoking kills you. There's no part of smoking that doesn't kill you. A lot of things do kill people in life, but not in the sense or grape. I say grape. I mean, I just learned that word. My apologies. I mean, unalive. That's the word. I was on TikTok trying to join somebody's live about a debate about abortion and stuff like that. And that's where I learned the word grape. I didn't know, or SAS, assault. Yeah. So and mind you, like I'm that type of person where you can't come to me about an argument and then think that like I don't like to argue. I like either the truth or the truth. I don't know what else to say. The truth or the truth. So like if you're coming back around making a statement to your claim that honestly is really a fallacy, I don't know what to tell you. I can try to baby this, the understanding for you by being respectful and giving it to you in a way that I hope that you can understand. But if you still can't understand, just like Christ, don't force anything. There are people that would tell you, do anything to everything to bring people back to Christ. You can walk outside, you can minister, you can tell, like, do you not know that knowing the truth alone, right? And being with Christ is more than enough for you. If you're told that fire burns, right? And this is where I have a lot I disagree with a lot of people on here that are on this platform that said do anything that you feel like that you got to do to bring no, because a lot of times people are doing it because of attention and influence. If you're told to, like, look at what they were doing, the disciples, Christ was doing, all of the people that were mentioned to do good, they didn't go and do a lot of obstructity, or I say obstruct, yeah, destructive things. They didn't do all of these things. No, even if, because you got to look at it like this: you can be the good around bad, but if you are meant to do something and you're meant to be around something, right? You will be led to that place, right? But at the same time, there are conditions to those situations, meaning you would know good from wrong, and it will present itself as a temptation towards you. So if you're told that fire burns and you still go out there and touch fire, and you know the commandments, you don't know no, you know the commandments and you still go out there and touch fire. The word tell you that fire burns, right? You know that logically that fire burns. And I'm not talking about the good fire. I'm talking about the bad fire. That fire burns. You still gonna go and touch the fire? It's like saying, it's like talking. It's like, I'm just gonna give an example. It's like saying that somebody is It's like saying that somebody's gonna give you an opportunity, right, to make probably millions of dollars, right? And they say that and let's just say that if you're a dude, right, and then you're a man, and for a lot of the dudes out here that understand what I'm saying, and they tell you that you got to go and do some things that are pretty much against your morality. Are you gonna go out here just doing immoral things with other men because you want a couple of millions of dollars? Are you gonna go out there wearing a dress because you want a couple of millions of dollars? You're gonna be shaking your behind because you want a couple of millions of dollars? Let's be realistic, right? You have two different types of people: people that are loyal and people that are not loyal. People that are loyal, they will die for what they say. And if they gotta smack you upside your head, trust and believe they will say that. They will do that. You got people that are really chill, not because they have any problems against anybody, but you got people that are really chill because they choose peace. The people that you go to war against, they're the same people that are very level minded, meaning they are very analytic in a sense where they could the same level of intensity of good and love that they show, they can be that much obsessed in the bad that they can do. So when we're all working to be the better self of who we can be and the potential of how our Father is guiding us, right? It doesn't matter what opportunity knocks at the door, because all money is not good money. And I give you guys roots as to why money, yes, money is a tool, but it's a societal what? Merit. So that means that money is a note, it's a paper, regardless at the end of the day, however you look at it. If it's not something that's physical in the sense of it's not gonna last for a long time, then what purpose does it have in real life? In realistically speaking, what purpose does it have when we're not talking about politics, when we're not talking about all of these extra stuff? What purpose does it have? Because what's more important? The ground that you walk in, the water that you walk in, what else? The electricity that you gain, the sunlight, whatever, the trees, woo, woo, woo. Right? What's more important, those things or money? Because you need those things to live. You don't need the money to live. You need the money to live a lifestyle, to be in an accommodation of what people expect you to be in. Correct? So our mindsets are completely different. You got people that want money, right? They have a house, they have a big land, right? They can grow medication, but they will prefer going to the hospital. But they will prefer going to the hospital. So that means that there's a lack of knowledge there because they don't know exactly what the advantage of the big land that they have. Because if you have big land like that and there's nobody telling you what to do on your land, right? Why can you not grow things that can cure cancer? You can sell that. Why not grow the things that you need so you can eat? You have to go to the hospital. If it's not a situation where you need surgery, why go to the hospital for? Everybody has a phone. YouTube is literally a lot of people's best friends. Everybody has a phone. Just to show you, just to give you the idea. I hope I didn't say too much because I just that alone is should be understandable of where the direction I'm taking you guys at. Because if there are medical doctors out here, right, that basically what is the word? They tell you stuff like oh man. Ooh. They basically tell you stuff like it's okay for women to have abortions. I don't think they're fit to be doctors, man. They're supposed to be out here saving lives, not killing them. Just realistically speaking, right? Realistically speaking, of course, people make their own choices, but like I said, I've been on TikTok lives and disputes. There are people that will yell at you because you tell them things, right, that go against their personal their personal desires of what they want to hear. Oh, just because they got a platform, they're gonna be mad. They're gonna go on a rampage. I could care less. If you either gonna tell me truth or you're gonna lie to me. Am I listening to something that is because if something is a choice, that means it's optional. So it's a claim that's individually made for everybody else. So when we look at the entirety of people, right, as a whole broad of a population, right, is it best to kill babies or just not partake in the frolicking of things that does not really need to happen? A lot of kids out here that are 13, 14, 15 are having kids. So who is to be blaming for that? You're going to blame a child. Then you say that 12 weeks is the longest that you could, before you consider something a baby. Hey, that might be your preference, but you're alive. And if you were alive, what about the baby? A lot of people think that their parents chose them. Like, no, a lot of kids, especially when they're not in marriage, they their birth was an accident, or not their birth, but their existence was an accident. Their birth was a choice, but their existence was an accident. Because yes, a lot of people can go and get the surgeries and all of these things done to them, but not everybody got that type of money, so they have to deal with it. So to say the root of the problem is because people desires and their libidos are not under control. Why take pills? All of these, enhancers, condoms. Why do all of those things when we already know why we're told to not to be celibate until marriage? So a lot of people are suffering because of what? See, we're told that we're not being disobedient, but a lot of people are suffering because they were disobedient. That's the reason why when we look at things in a logical sense, rather than just trying to be mathematical or calculative on what and how people should perceive us, right? It makes us look even entirely much way worse than what we thought we made ourselves look. Because you're alive. How can you criticize a life that has not even been born yet for the simple fact that you went and made a mistake? A lot of people wouldn't even accept that their parents are going to lie to them. They're not going to accept that their parents lied to them and said that, they were not a mistake. No, you were a mistake. If your parents are not married, you are a mistake. They could choose to have you, but as far as if they had the choice to not, they wouldn't. They really wouldn't. That's just the truth. All right. But let's continue though. This is going to be an inspiration. And the subject for this one is people will do you harm because of how they feel. Okay? Whew. Now this is Christ, and this is after he already told about the parables and stuff like that. The verse, I don't know the number, but if you are in chapter 4 of Saints Mark, you will eventually come across it. And it says, now over a short period of time, as they sailed on the sea, a great storm presented. I believe this is the last. Yeah, this is definitely the last. This is definitely the last. The last part. My apologies, of the chapter itself. Um, it says, now over a short period of time, as they sailed on the sea, a great storm presented itself in their path. Now, in the well hidden parts, Christ was sleeping and unbothered. But then the disciples bothered him due to their fear of the storm. Due to their fear of the storm. Due to their fear of the storm. Due to the fear of the storm. So, like I said, people have faith. And then once they have faith and the circumstances come, they lose their faith. So they go and take another option. They lose their faith and they stop being faithful. They stop being loyal. You know that trust and loyalty don't just work one way, it's both ways. So when you have loyalty for somebody, that person trusts you, even if they allow, just let's just give you a my apologies, my leg is a little bit let me just give you an example. Job, right? Do you think that Christ, or you could say Yahuwah, did not trust Job? Yeah, our creator had loyalty to Job. He was loyal to Job, and Job was loyal back. So loyalty does not it's not a one-way thing. It works both ways and not just one way. So when you trust somebody, that person trusts you. So when you think that you can be unconditional, I mean you can be conditional, or you can have a conditional trust towards your creator. Your creator is not even going to trust you because you can switch up on him like that any given day. When you have a conditional love for your creator, he's going to love you, but as far as believing you, he's not going to believe you. Because why? Your love can switch like this any given day. So a lot of people that say, "Oh, they're bipolar," all of this. Listen, words mean, and it also is an influence to an effect. So what you allow your words to consider who you are is exactly what you are. Words have meaning and it has power. That's why when we speak, it says what? Things manifest. Mm-hmm. So what you say out of your mouth, if even if you mean the best thing for the person, right? And you say S sugar honey iced tea, you call somebody the sugar honey iced tea, right? You're really still downing that person. And look at how what I told you guys about words and meaning, right? If you watched the previous video, how like when it comes to demonic language, that the closest thing to demonic language, if it's not English, I cannot tell you what is. Because yes, the demons, they have their own language. The devils, they have their own language. They have their own language. They have their own symbols. They have their own stuff. English, even when we compliment somebody, we're still putting them down in reverse. It's a reverse thing. Hit the word that I just give you. It's a reverse thing. They have their own language. That's why when you hear a lot of these influential artists, right, when they're making music, when you reverse their thing, their lyrics or their melodies, right, whatever that it is, right, it has a whole different meaning. Now, there are also melodies that are not reversed, that are very straightforward, right? Right now, the word is not coming into my mind, but it will eventually, right? When you don't reverse it and you just hear how they pronounce the word. Now, what sounds closer to the word, you can still do research to. You can still do research for. And the fact that the word itself have a meaning and you have to break down. See, these things are not no regular stuff. These are tactics. On some CIA, FBI beyond 10 times 10. This is how the music industry works. And I'm talking about, when I say music industry, I'm talking about artists in general. A lot of these artists that you see out there, some of them are very direct where they don't even try. They don't even try all of that only because of the influence and amount of, followers and all of this stuff that they have. Where they don't even have to try no more because, it's not even worth it. But you have some that are tactical. I'm talking like double, like yo, the pronunciations itself of certain words is detrimental. It can affect you. Forget the phrase. Forget the phrase alone. There's some words that I don't remember, but forget the phrase. You know how there's a what is it called when kids are listening to this? I love me, you love me, we are a happy family. When I make back these little, I forgot what it's called. It's something rhyme, something like that. There's a specific word for it. I just can't think of it right now. It's gonna come back to me. But these things, they use that. Why do you think like there's some artists out here that use these type of tactics? Because it's very impressionable to kids. So when you can reverse it, right, there's a subliminal message that comes in between. Remember, just like light, there are visible light and there is invisible light. Sounds, there is what? A bass frequency and there's a high pitch frequency. The bass can capture more things to so that it's because it's on a lower, tune, it can capture more things and move things on a physical level. The higher pitch, it doesn't. It destroys them because it has to go through it. It's vibrant, literally. It's vibrant. Okay, and this is just in a way like to give you guys an image of what I'm talking about. Imagine where when you put a speaker and the bass and you put your phone on some type of speaker, right? While you listen to music. See the phone moving, all of this stuff and all of this, that's what bass do, right? It captures basically the atoms that are surrounding it, the matter surrounding it, right? And it conjuncts it because what? Just like, let me put it like this: hot and cold. When something is heated, right? What is happening? Energy is moving much faster. right? So you don't even see it moving. You don't see it moving. Just like when people sing at a very high pitch, you can't really feel the high pitch. You can just hear it, right? But then glass shatter. But unlike the bass, you can feel the bass. You can feel the bass. It won't shatter nothing. It'll just move it. Okay, I've been on here for a little bit, but let's continue reading this real quick. And the subject for this one says, how can you have the things of the heavens and you do not accept its terms of love and compassion? And it says what? How can we contradict ourselves to the ideals of the kingdom of the heavens, my apologies. We must be like the mustard seed, strong and resilient, although they look very delicate as a seed, but it becomes very grounded in its foundation over time. This tree has stood for good that is given unto his neighbors, being the birds and many more. Why is that important? So when we are very strong in our foundation, right? In our foundation of faith, it doesn't matter who comes around you. When people gonna come, even if they don't think about it now, you are somebody that when somebody have a conversation with, right? Your conversations leave an imprint, meaning it has somebody thinking about what they do, how they do it, when they do it, where they do it. That's what it does. Somebody can try to make you look stupid however they want. They can try to put situations for you to not remember or to have any power in whatever that you do. But in reality, when you listen to some of these things, right? It doesn't change exactly the fashion of your faith. Because if you know the real truth and the truth is seen in you, right? Not because you have money and you're being successful, you're going to school and college and all of this. Like a lot of people don't even realize that a lot of these disciples, they did not go to school. They didn't have all of these educational system. And mind you, you think that educational system was not around back then in those days. No, there was an educational system. It just was not called an educational system. It wasn't called an educational system. Because why else would people go to war, right, over knowledge if if knowledge was not important? Why else would people be hiding the truth of certain aspects of your life if knowledge was not important? Why else? If it wasn't important, I'm pretty sure that all of these scrutinies and all of these problems would not even occurred. Let alone the mass destructions that have happened over eras of times ago. I'm talking about the flood, before the flood. You could talk about the Mesopotamians, right? You could talk about who else? The Atlanteans, all of these people. Do you not know these tragic histories happened for a reason? Because they defiled the actual nature of what our Creator has made on this earth. Some people say Anunnakians, but they don't even know exactly the Anunnaki. Why do you think the word Anunnaki comes from? Where do you think it comes from? Because in the book of Enoch, right, it talks about what? The giants. So the Anunnakians were not these little frail creatures that were blue or gray, whatever people want to call them, right? And I just please take my words as I give you these things and please do your research. Please just do your research. All right. They're not just these beings. They were relatives. They were descendants of fallens. If not, they were fallens themselves. Either first generation, second generation, third generations, because they have families as well. Okay? These people, they definitely came and they altered the human race. And it wasn't everybody, it was just certain particular people. Now we're not going to get into the faction of race, right? Or ethics, or ethnics, my apologies, or ethnics, because a lot of people might get offended. Now, and the reason why I said it, if you didn't already catch the hint, right? If you didn't already catch the hint, you're gonna know, hey, something that is not 100% um, capturing the sun the way that it should properly, right, is not natural 100%. That's why there's been a mixture of what genetics over a period of time, because people are people at the end of the day. No matter how people consider and look at things in this world, people are people. But if you know, and if you are a scientist of any kind, please don't hold no anger against me. I don't harvest no anger or animosity towards anybody. But when we are on here, we're speaking truth. Just realistically speaking. Because even if the plants and the animals, they have it, um, it's kind of crazy right there, right? And I'm not even trying to be scientifical, because if I do, it's just gonna make things even it's gonna be cool, because the truth is really gonna be seen in a certain aspect. But just to really ease up the tension, but still being truthful and not hurting nobody's feelings. It's not my job to inflict nobody or anything like that. It's my job to teach, and teach what I can teach for people to understand. Because I can't give you guys a steak, ribeye, bone, whatever the case is. I can't give you guys no steak, ribeye. How do you say it? Ribeye? Is it ribeye or rabbi? I don't know. Ribeye. It sounds like I'm saying rabbi, but no. But I can't give you guys steak if you can't even drink milk. You're not ready for steak yet. And there are some people that do know what I'm talking about. And for those that know what I'm talking about, please put it in the comment section and help anybody that has any questions that don't know. And it's not just this, but a couple of the things that I've been talking about. Back to the topic of the Anunnakians, right? Fallens. They weren't like the giants that were skyscraper talls, because that's what they describe some of these angels to be like. But they were some like of a giants. They have physical bodies, and they enhance their bodies through alchemy. Enigmas. I think I said that word properly. Enigmas. So a lot of people out here are lying to a lot of people and folks. They talk about the grays. Do you not know that extraterrestrials are actually talked about in the By and Bao? They're talked about. And that includes the extraterrestrial planes. Understand what planes mean. Understand what planes realms mean. These words, this is why I tell you guys why words are very important. Understand what these words mean, because I don't want to be rambling here all day. But understand what these words mean. Because yes, there are such things as reincarnation, but it's not in the sense of what you consider it. These are just entities that have made deals and contracts with people, right? If it was not by a creator, it was definitely a devilish type of incantation. See, the English letters in English language is very easy to make spells, because it's already backwards. It's already demonic. It's already cursed. It's very easy for people to just think about something demonic. They could cast a spell in their mind without having to try. Everything was made under the sequence, under the what is it called? The obstruction, the obscurity of these witches, wizards, warlocks, whatever, sorcerers, right? You want to call them that, whatever they want to be, for them to do what they do with ease. Because why? It's already it's already given to them as a favor. That's why a lot of people, when they partake in these activities, they become those things as well. Know that letters and symbols came first. Symbols came first, then letters, then numbers. It wasn't numbers, symbols. Yes, numbers might have came in the sense of the function and the structure, right? But it wasn't known to mankind in the sense of what we know. And it's still hidden in the sense of what we think we know. So I'm gonna give you guys this last thing. Hopefully I'm not saying too much. But hopefully when I ask you guys this question, I hope that any of you that have a compass and that have the chance to go to the north, right? You follow the north compass. That you tell me what direction the north compass is gonna point you in is gonna point you again once you're there. And the last thing that I'm gonna leave you guys with is spell Gaia backwards out loud. First write it down forward, then backwards, and then spell it backwards after you pronounce it. After you pronounce it forward, pronounce it backwards and then forward. And you just tell me why, why. Understand that space, when it comes to gravity, cannot just work if there's not an enclosure. Understand that space and how it works when it comes to gravity cannot work unless there is an enclosure. Meaning it has to be in a vessel of something, right? Just like our blood, all our cells are within what? Our body, and it works a certain way. But I said enough. The rest is up to you guys if you would like to listen to me or not. I love you all so much, and a kiss from me onto you. And if somebody tells you that they didn't, well, somebody did not tell you to love you today, tell them. I said, I love them. I love you. Love you all. Much more of a kiss onto you. Take care. All right.